How's everybody doing out there? Welcome to Late Night in the Lounge with your host, Jesse. Going over Week 11's results. Now, we do already have the Week 12 early line show up and available on Dead Money Sports on YouTube. So if you're interested in my early thoughts of Week 12, you can find it there. We'll just be doing a quick recap of Week 11. Now, we went 4-1 this week, so a great week. We're sitting at 7-3 in the third quarter and 32-23 on the season. So we are right there fighting for a paid position. We got 7 weeks left, and we are on the heels. I think we're right around 350th place. So, I mean, we're only a few points out of the money. I have to double check it after the conclusion of the Dallas Vegas game. Kind of disappointed in myself. I originally, because our one loss was the Rams, which they won the game, but they didn't cover. And I originally said to myself, I wrote in here, no play, too close to call. Like, it was, because both teams were really good. I posted it on X that I'm not bringing Seattle down in the rankings because of that game, because they had 4 interceptions. Their quarterback had 4 interceptions in that game, and that defense kept them in it where they only lost by 2 points. So, not bad. But I really liked Dallas, and I said that in the early line show that I liked Dallas in this matchup because I didn't like Geno or the offense for Vegas, and their defense is just, they couldn't handle the receivers in the passing game of Dallas. So I'm kind of disappointed in myself because we could have very well had a 5-0, but 4-1, I'll take it. We're fighting. We're fighting to the end. We are going to make the money by the end of this contest. Hopefully a top 10 position. We really need a 5-0 next week. But, man, we had some funky games. Miami and Washington, we were on the Dolphins. I thought Miami gave that game away for sure. When they went for it on 4th down there in the final 2 minutes, like, man, your defense has been playing well, and you're not going to take the lead, but somehow, some way, they got us the dub and covered that 2.5-point spread. Carolina and Atlanta. Let me pull this up. Or how does it go in order? Okay, we got Packers and Giants. You know, Jameis Winston does what Jameis Winston does. He throws interceptions. He throws touchdowns. The Packers were somehow able to pull out that victory. But with the spread being 7 in the Circa contest, anyone who took the Giants ended up with a push. So, wait a minute. I got the other slide. Let me see if I can pull that up. I think we can bring that one in here instead. Get rid of that. And what we'll do is this. Okay, so now we got the selection. So here we go. The Giants were the lesser of the team, but each person, each side got a half a point out of that one. So, you take the 7. There's a chance you might end up with a push, just like if you take 3. Bucks and Bills. Bills get it done. This was a very popular side with over 1,156 entries. I mean, wow, did they look good. Buffalo's offense was humming in that one. The rushing game. Josh Allen still had some turnovers, though. The Bucs were really able to run the ball. Their offensive line, when they get their guys back this week, they should have Bucky Irving and Godwin back. they're gonna be a tough out next week. Bengals and Steelers. Steelers get the win, but they may have lost Rodgers. But Mason Rudolph, I guess, came in and played well. We'll have to see how they do against better competition and the worst defense in the league, the Bengals. And the Bengals are going to be without Jamar Chase, spitting on people. Not good. Can't do that. It's totally disrespectful. But they were also the contrarian side. Titans get the cover, but lose to the Texans. The Texans got a big game coming up on Thursday against Buffalo. I have to see what we get out of that one. The Texans defense has played much better at home than they have on the road, so they should give that Buffalo Bills offense everything they can handle in that game. It's going to be a good game. We don't know if C.J. Stroud's going to be back. They said he wasn't in the practicing on Monday in their the announcement that they make, like had they practiced, he wouldn't have been available. So more than likely it's going to be Davis Mills in Thursday Night Football against Buffalo. So don't know how many points they're going to score. It's going to be all about their defense. Vikings and Bears. I'm really glad I got off Minnesota because I had really thought about using them. And all I kept hearing was Minnesota's the right side, Minnesota's the right side. And I'm like, well, why is there nobody that believes in Chicago? So I didn't pull the trigger, and thank goodness I didn't because Chicago ended up getting the straight up win. I think this week coming up is the week to fade. A week to fade the Bears, though. This might be the week. But, man, I mean, the Vikings, too. The Vikings, they're playing, I want to say it's Green Bay. You know, they had opportunities to score points and just couldn't get it done in the red zone with interceptions. So, if they clean that up, this offense is still good and the defense is good. So, watch out for the Vikings this week. I think, it was 6.5. The point spread 6.5. So, I'm going to be looking to probably get on the Vikings. What I tell you, there's a reason why I didn't use Atlanta in this in the contest this week. I'm 4-1 using them now this season after the Colts game where they lost but covered by half a point. I knew this was a bad spot, and not only did they not get the dub or they didn't get the win or the cover, nothing. Carolina wins straight up, beat them both games this year. Shut them out the first time, came back and beat them in the end in this one. Jaguars, that was a no-sweat game for us. I felt good about this one. This was right behind the Miami game in my confidence. And, this was just a bad spot all the way around for the Chargers. Their travel schedule has just been horrendously difficult with them having to go back and forth across the East Coast. They're on the bye this week, though. They're going to need that. Look for the Chargers coming out of the bye. And that holiday week, week 12 is next week. Week 13 is the the Thanksgiving weekend, Thursday. So we'll be doing the lines release show on Wednesday, but there are no byes that week 13. Every team plays. So, this came at a good time for the Chargers, and I'll be looking to back the Chargers in week 13. It's also Denver, Miami, and Washington are all on the bye. So we'll have 14 games to choose from. Yeah. But again, Jaguars was a no sweat. I'm looking to fade them this week too. Seahawks and the Rams. We were on the Rams minus the 3. They're up by, 9 points or something? Yeah, 9 points. And Seattle gets a late touchdown to get it to 2. I really thought we had a chance when the punt went out of bounds at like the 2-inch line. I really was like, man, if we could get a safety or something here, a holding penalty in the end zone, anything to get us over that 3, we were staring at a 5-0 day. But no. Again, though, I really the biggest takeaway from that game is just how good this Seahawks defense really is. I mean, LA's defense was really good too. Obviously, they had 4 interceptions, but that's just one of those days when everything just piled on Sam Darnold. But the fact that defense was able to basically shut down LA's offense after most of those turnovers, that they only lost by 2 points. I think that game said more about Seattle's defensive resolve than anything. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they do the rest of the year. These teams will probably meet again in the playoffs. San Francisco really put the beat down on Arizona. I mean, Arizona put up some points, but they had no answers for the 49ers offense. And I had a feeling that was going to be what was going on. I said it in the show that they were pissed off after the last game against LA. So that offense came out fired up. They were ready to play, and they really pounded the rock with their running backs and set up the play action. Arizona had no answers for him. And Jacoby Brissett's a backup quarterback for a reason. You'll get a couple good games out of him when he first comes off the bench because teams aren't prepared for him. But once they prepare for him and they know what they got to do, he struggles. Ravens and Browns. Ravens got the win but did not cover. This was not a very popular game. The Chiefs, we were on the other side of this one, though. That was good for us because we were going against one of the top 5. We had 2. So we went basically 3-0 against the top 5 because we were on the Dolphins, the 49ers, and then we were contrarian to the top 5 with the Broncos, and the Broncos won it outright. Man, I was nervous as hell watching that game. I was in Reno at the Pepper Mill watching the game, and when they scored the touchdown, they were going to go up 4 points. I thought, that's it. The Chiefs are going to cover the game by half a point. And then they missed it, which kept the game where the field goal tied it instead of making the Broncos have to go for the touchdown, which they probably wouldn't have scored. And kept us in that game, and then they ended up winning it outright with the turnover, the punt, the fumble. But that was that was a good win. Lions were very popular, and they lose outright. They were in the top 5 as well. So the top 5 went 2-3, and we had the 2 winners. Because the Vikings lost outright, the Chiefs lost outright, and the Lions lost outright. So that's good for us going 4-1, because that means some of the people at the top took a few L's. Although Potato Commish, who's leading, he hasn't slacked off at all. I believe he went 4-1 again. So he's sitting with 48 points right now. Or not 48, 42 points right now. So he's just crushing it. We're going to have to put together some 5-0 weeks and hope that the leaders slack off a little bit so we can catch up and get up in that top 10. But man, that game, that Lions-Eagles game, a lot of people were on the Lions. Their defense struggled, though. The offense, and you knew Jared Goff was going to struggle outdoors in bad, windy weather. That's why I said this week they're laying 10.5, and I like the Lions. They're going to be able to run the ball all over. I think it's the Giants that they're playing, right? They're going to be able to run the ball all over them. Who the hell are they playing this week? Or next week? Let me see. Because it was 10.5, and yeah, they got the Giants coming into Detroit. So yeah, I definitely think they're going to be able to. They're going to run the ball all over this Giants team. You have to keep an eye on the injuries, but I'm looking to back the Lions after that loss against Philly, because it was just a bad spot. It was a good spot for Philadelphia in the way they play football, And it was not a good spot for the Lions offense, who are much more accustomed and built to play on that fast track at Ford Field. And that they're playing at home week 12. So I don't know how much longer it's going to be at 10.5, but I'm going to probably go back to the well and get back on the Lions train. I think they've failed to cover the last 2 games, or at least 2 out of 3. I know they lost to the Vikings. They lost to the Vikings. They covered against the Commanders, and then they failed to cover this week. So 2 out of the last 3. And then tonight's game, like I said, I'm kicking myself for not going with Dallas minus the 3.5 instead of LA, just because of how well matched up LA was with Seattle. And I knew Dallas's offense was much better than Vegas's defense, especially their secondary. They had no answers for those wide receivers. George Pickens, he was just unstoppable tonight. But I'll tell you what, this week's games, there's some tough matchups to choose from. Again, we've got the early lines up on YouTube. And you can get all that for what I like about the games, although we will be coming to you live Thursday during the Thursday night football game between the Buffalo Bills and the Houston Texans with the Circa Lines release show. We'll be discussing it and have definitely more of an opinion on which way we're going with our 5 and what other games we like or don't like. Circa Survivor. So the Falcons, once again, are the big loser or cause of the loss again. all these made it through. The Patriots, they were the number 1 pick, so the Survivor guys were all pretty on about who they were going with this week. I mean, obviously they have all the data that shows who has what teams available to them, and the Patriots were definitely the most popular side to choose in this week against the Jets, and they won convincingly. Texans, Steelers, Packers, Ravens all won. And then Atlanta lost. The Cowboys tonight, Monday night, there was 25 on them, so nobody eliminated with that one. And then who else? The Vikings were 11, and the Chargers 6, and the Chiefs 1. So they ended up with what? 40 or 54, 60, 61 entries eliminated out of the remaining 1,000. So tough way to go, making it all the way to week 11 and get burned by the Atlanta Falcons. But if you watched the NFL contest show right here on Dead Money Sports, you would have known that me, the Atlanta Falcons fan, said it was a terrible spot. Do not back them. Do not bet on them. I would not bet on them. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you can get all the episodes and get the insights right here. But yeah, so not a lot of carnage this week. But now we're coming up on the Thanksgiving weekend, and that's where you have to pick a game or pick a team from the 4 games, the 3 on Thanksgiving and the Black Friday game. Then you also have to pick another team for the upcoming Sunday Monday slate. So this is when it can get down to low numbers, because you only have so many options to choose from on the holiday weekend, because depending on who you used earlier in the year, you may only have a couple of teams left available to you. So we could see some teams getting eliminated or some entries eliminated. No one was eliminated in the Grandissimo, the $100,000 buy-in winner takes all, 6.9 million. The winner or winners of Circa Survivor, that's $18.7 million that's in that pot. So they started out with 18,700 and they're under 1,000 going into week 12. But 4 entries were on the Patriots, 2 were on the Steelers. Both teams win easily. No real anything to worry about in that game. So, yeah, there was no real sweat. I mean, the Patriots pretty much handled business, and that was on Thursday night. So they knew going into the weekend, these 4, that they were safe. And the 2 other Steelers won easily against Cincinnati. And there was no surprise there. I mean, they were 5.5-point favorites going up against old man Joe and that terrible, terrible defense. But look at this. The implied value, remember, this is $100,000 buy-in. The implied value is $1.15 million. So right now, these 6 entries had, if they chose to, could split the pot. And for their $100,000 buy-in, they could walk away with $1.15 million. So they would get back their $100,000. So $1,500,000. This person had 2 entries, and this person had 2 entries. So they're in for $200,000. So still $950,000 if they decided to chop it now. I don't know. I mean, obviously these groups or these entries would have to communicate with one another and work all that out and get the legalities down, because the Circa won't do it. They're not going to get involved. They want somebody to win the whole damn thing. So I don't know how, you would have to call and like get connected to each other and then make the agreement. We'll have to see how it goes. I'll put that in the chat. If do the entries chop the pot, or does one entry try to win it all? I wonder what they're gonna do. I'll have to put that up on X. I'm gonna do that real quick. Oh, why can't I do that? But all right. I mean, we can do a quick glance of next week's games, and then we'll wrap it up. So again, we've got the Buffalo Bills and the Texans. Buffalo minus 5.5. We won't be using that one in the contest, that's for sure. Steelers and Bears. I think this might be the end of where the Bears, their win streak, they might lose this one. Obviously, with the Steelers, you got to see who's going to be playing quarterback. But if it's Mason Rudolph, I still think the Steelers have a good shot in this one. Caleb Williams can be a little loose with the ball. We could see Pittsburgh create some turnovers and taking the 3. This is a Tomlin spot. So it's time. I think it's time to fade Chicago on this one. Patriots and Bengals. What a disgusting game. I want nothing to do with this thing. Giants and Lions. I talked about this. I think the Lions minus 10.5 for the right side. They're going to come out and run the ball right down the Giants' face. And there ain't a whole lot they're going to be able to do about it. They certainly aren't going to pass their way to a win. Minnesota, I'm looking to back the Vikings. They had opportunities last week and just couldn't get it done in the red zone. They'll clean that up. The secondary for the Packers is not the best. If they can protect, which the offensive line got healthy for the Minnesota Vikings, they'll have another week of practice together. They can protect against the Packers pass rush. They'll have time and they'll be able to score points. So I like the Vikings. Give me the Vikings and the points in this one. Disgusting game, the Seahawks, but who the hell knows what's going to happen in that one. This is a great game. I really think this is Chiefs' backs against the wall. They're going to win this game. I would back the Kansas City Chiefs in this one, although I don't think it'll make the card because who knows what you're going to get from the Colts here. But the Colts, they went into the bye hot, and you never want to do that because you take your foot off the pedal. Sometimes it's hard to get going again, and they might slip up against this Chiefs team that they need a win here like they need oxygen. They lose this game, there's a good chance they don't even make the playoffs this year. Jets and Ravens. What are you going to do with this game? I mean, it's Tyrod Taylor who's playing quarterback now for the Jets. The Ravens are obviously getting back to kicking people, beating the crap out of inferior competition. I mean, obviously they struggled a little bit against the Browns last weekend, but that's a division opponent. They see each other all the time, and Cleveland's defense is really good. So, or pretty decent anyway. It's their offense that let them down. You don't know what you're going to get from this Jets team. I think they've cashed it in for the year. I honestly think they might be tanking for the number 1 pick. But I hate laying double digits with Baltimore because they've burned me too many times before. So there's no way this one's going on the card. Nope. They're double-digit spread killers. They'll get out to a double-digit lead, and then they'll let the team score and backdoor you. And after the Jets lost last Thursday night, everybody saw it as a double-digit 12.5 point dog. Nobody's going to want to touch the Jets. And that's probably why it's the right side. But you won't get me putting American dollars down on it. And it certainly won't be in my Circa 5. What a disgusting game. Cleveland at the Raiders. The Raiders just look so bad. Their offensive line can't do anything. Their defensive line is okay, but their secondary sucks. Who's playing quarterback for the Browns? Who's playing quarterback for the Raiders? Are they going to switch to Kenny Pickett this week after another bad game by Geno? I will admit, Geno still throws some terrible balls, but I'll admit this offensive line is bad. Austin Gentry can't even get out of the backfield. He got stopped for a safety. Ugh. And now you're going up against a Cleveland Browns team that's defense is pretty damn good. And they've got some game wreckers over there. I mean, so does the Raiders, but at least the Browns can run the ball. If anything, just don't let whoever, Shedeur Sanders, don't let him throw it. Run a college offense, man. You'll beat the Raiders. You could beat the Raiders with a college-style offense. That's for damn sure. So, look at this total. 36.5. No respect. No respect. Like Rodney Dangerfield. No respect. But Cleveland's the right side. There's no way you can take the Raiders. Even though this won't be anywhere close to the home away game like the Raiders faced on Monday Night Football, where there was, just as many Dallas Cowboys fans in the crowd as there were more Dallas Cowboys fans in the crowd than there were Raiders fans. So it won't be that way with Cleveland. The Raiders will actually have a home field advantage somewhat. That's probably right on the number. I mean, it's probably a 3-point game one way or the other, but I would take the Browns in the points. Although that will not be making that card either. This is the game I was talking about. I'm looking at the fade the Jaguars here. The Jaguars played a good game against a wounded opponent that was in a really bad scheduling spot with how many times they've had to travel across the country. Now the Jags got to travel back across the country, take on the Arizona Cardinals. We'll have to keep an eye on the offensive injury report for Arizona, as well as their defensive injury report, and have to see if Brian Thomas Jr. is coming back for the Jags. But I'm really thinking Arizona might be the right spot in this one. It just feels like this is when you fade Jacksonville off a big win like that they probably didn't deserve if the Chargers were at full strength with their offensive line. Philly and Dallas. Dallas just put on an offensive display against a very bad Raiders defense. Max Crosby's like really the only thing you can point to that's any good, and even he's starting to play. He's starting to freelance a lot because the team sucks. He's frustrated. He's trying to make a play, but he's freelancing, puts him out of position sometimes. Now you've got the Eagles coming off the big win over Detroit. Are people going to look to fade Philly? Could Dallas score against this Eagles team? Yes. Can their defense stop Philly's offense? Probably not. Will the kicker for the Cowboys play a role in this game because he's indoors and he can kick these long bomb field goals and add points that keeps him within this number? That's a very real possibility. A very real possibility. And the Eagles lost, I want to say it was Lane Johnson, to a fractured foot. So that's a big loss for them. I have to see the rest of the injury report for the Philadelphia Eagles and see what happened with the Dallas Cowboys. But you also have to remember the Dallas Cowboys tonight. They had shirts on in remembrance of their teammate. They were really playing like an emotional game after everything that's happened. And it could certainly be a letdown spot for Dallas, where they were up so high for this primetime game to, pay respects to their fallen teammate, and they could certainly come in and get steamrolled by this Eagles team. So I have to look a lot more into this one, but yeah, that's a tough one. Especially with the line being right at 3.5. They're basically saying, do you think the Eagles will win by more than a field goal? Do you think they're that good? Or do you think Dallas can score points on them? I think Dallas's offense is still good, though. What a tragic season. Atlanta, back-to-back blown leads in the fourth quarter right at the end of the game. I mean, this team just can't find a way to win. They've lost Penix for the year. So it's going to be Kirk Cousins, which I don't think is that big of a drop-off. Kirk at least is an accurate passer. He doesn't wing the ball over everybody's head the way Penix has been doing. But there, Drake London might be injured. If Drake London's out, this Falcons passing offense becomes stagnant. I mean, we're going to have to start talking about Drake London in the conversation with the best wide receivers in the league, because he's definitely putting his name in the conversation, especially playing with not great quarterback play. For him to be putting up the numbers that he is with the quarterbacks that he's had throwing him the ball, I think it says a lot about him. As long as he can just keep himself healthy, because he's had concussions and he takes big shots. He catches the ball, but he gets hit a lot, especially fighting for yards. But, I mean, like, what are you going to get from this team? Like, I want nothing to do with this. Camera's out again. Why is it always doing that? There's something coming through on the phone or something. What is up with this thing? I don't know why it went out like that. Why it got all blurry like that. But again, I want nothing to do with this game. This Falcons Saints game. You don't know what kind of performance you're going to get from the Falcons. I mean, their secondary did not do its part. The defense did not play up to the way they were supposed to. I think Bryce Young had like over 400 yards passing, so they just got cooked by this secondary. I mean, by this wide receiver group. Now, obviously, the Saints do not have the same caliber of players as Carolina does with their receiving core. And they are starting a rookie quarterback who had a big win in Carolina. Then they went into the bye. You know, what kind of, real type of commitment, to getting ready for this week are you going to have from the Saints? Meanwhile, the Falcons are going to be getting rode by their coaches after blowing back-to-back fourth quarter leads. So, I mean, Atlanta's probably the right side in this one because they are a better team than the Saints. Their defense played a bad game last week against Carolina, but overall throughout the season, their defense has been good. And I think Kirk Cousins, he might bring an extra, a little something to the offense that was lacking with Penix. Because if one thing, Kirk Cousins is accurate with the ball. As long as you can keep him upright, and keep the pressure off of him, he's going to get the ball to his guys. It's all about Drake London, though. Is he playing? If Drake London's playing, I'd take the Falcons. If Drake London's out, take the Saints. This is a good game. Sunday Night Football. Bucks at the Rams. Bucks off that tough loss. Rams off of that close win. And they're getting 6.5 on the road. This says take the Bucks all day. I know LA's defense looked, like world beaters in that game against Seattle. But that was one game against Darnold, he's been known to have games like that where he just gets a little loose. And I said it in the show. He's had turnover problems in the last 2 games, but the defense has bailed him out. And this time they just couldn't bail him out. So you got to watch Sam Darnold, man, because he gets a little loose with that ball. Especially when he starts feeling confident, because he's got the arm strength to throw the ball into any spot, and he's pretty accurate at times, but he will try to fit it in there sometimes, and you saw what happened. But I don't know. I think the Rams, they kind of got a little exposed in that game. If Irving and Godwin are both back for the Buccaneers, that's a big plus to their offense. I think they'll be able. Baker Mayfield in this offense will be able to move the ball. They'll be able to keep it close in this game. They just might win outright, but 6.5 is too much. They're getting they're getting penalized for losing to Buffalo in a bad spot for a team from Florida going up there to Buffalo when Buffalo was really they were ready to kick someone's ass no matter who it was after losing that game to Miami. They knew they couldn't take another step back, so Tampa Bay still in first place in their division. So although that was a tough loss for them, they could, withstand losing that game, but they can't lose another one. This is their back-to-back road games. So going out west, but give me the Bucks and the points. I think this is just too much. It's too much. As good as LA is, Todd Bowles, one of the better defensive coordinators as a head coach. He'll have his team prepared, and they won't get blown out. And then Monday Night Football. The 6-5, dare I say it, Carolina Panthers against the 7-4 49ers. Who could have predicted this way back when they set the schedules, that this Monday night game would actually have playoff implications after the performance that Carolina had last year? But Dave Canales has got his team believing. And although the defense isn't very good, their offense, they can move the ball. They put resources into the right places, which was at the offensive line, and that's really, and then the receivers. It's really paying dividends for them. They need a real quarterback, but for now, Bryce Young will do. Will you get the same kind of performance from this 49ers offense that you got coming out of that tough loss against LA now that they're feeling back to their old selves again? I mean, they're laying a full touchdown at home, and we know Kyle Shanahan is better against the spread on the road than he is at home. I'll probably not have anything to do with this game as far as the circus contest is concerned, but 7 points seems like a little too much for me. This Carolina team can at least keep it close against this 49ers team. They'll be able to move the ball on the ground with their two-headed running back group, and will set up enough play-action passes for the Carolina Panthers. So 7 points just seems like a lot, but I probably won't have anything to do with it. But there you have it. There's the late night at the lounge recap of week 11, and we again went 4-1 against the spread, or in our contest picks. And so we're 7-3 in the third quarter and 32-23 on the year. Well, all right, everyone. Gonna call it a night. Get ready for week 12. Start doing some research, but be sure to join me Thursday night right here on Dead Money Sports for the Thursday night football watch party and the Circa Line release show. To everyone out there, hope you had a successful weekend. Hope you have a joyful week, and take care of yourselves.